And the last thing on the show today is a very special Delving Deeper, because it is a farewell to Delves. Very shortly, around the time that this is going to release, actually, Delvecast.com, a little website that we used to run, is going to be kind of going into archive mode for however long, pretty much until the end of time. It's fading into the past.
Yes.
And hey, Alex, that was only like, what, 2-3 years of our life, I think?
3 or 4.
3 or 4? Yeah, exactly. So if you haven't listened to those episodes, too damn bad. I think you can probably still listen to them, actually.
Yeah, they're still online if you need to find them.
Yeah, if you need them for the archive's sake, I think that they're probably up. Who knows? At some point, maybe we'll make something more convenient, but that's not a priority right now. We're trying to do this thing. But yeah, our website is old website at least is going to be going down, and that's a little sad. But we started a new thing, so here we are. We originally, I was trying to think, what was the original post that we had back? The very, very first post, I think it was in 2015, I want to say. We started the show on Mad Adventures, and
Yeah.
it was in,
I think it was like April?
Yeah,
May?
I want to say it was like in April. And then when when Mad Adventures stopped, we ended up going and doing Delvecast, and that was after a couple years of being on there, and then we, from like, I want to say 2017 or early 2018, I think, we were doing Delve over at Delvecast specifically.
Yeah, I think we were only on Mad Adventures for a year to maybe 2 years, tops.
Yeah, it was a little bit longer than... If only I had a magical way to tell. That would be incredible.
A magical way to tell.
Yes, absolutely. You're going to see this wonderful thing coming across the screen as like I scroll on the other end. Because remember, we have like 300 episodes I have to scroll through here. And I'm realizing that that's going to be one sensation when you go to the website at the end of the year you're not going to have. But we started back in... Oh, there we go. March 23rd, 2015 is when we did the very first... You're so close. March 23rd, 2015, we did the original Delve. Our Journey Begins, the one that we usually don't talk about. So the one that was really worthwhile was Delve 2, which we did on March 30th. But that's where we started there. If I remember correctly, we were on there for a little while until we did the Popular Cheese. I think that, Avignon, I believe, was the first one that we actually did on the new site, and that was January 10th, 2017. We had actually made mention of this. Yes, that was around the time, the beginning of 2017, we started Delvecast, because we had the episode And the Delve Goes On, and then a PSA just to let people know that we were moving over.
Yeah, it's nice of PSA people.
Yeah, so at the very, very end, December 29th of 2016, we did our last show for Mad Adventures, and then moved all of our archives over to do Delvecast, and just redid the 93 episodes we had. Re-put those up. You know how much fun that was.
That was
a lot
fun.
Of work. It was work. And then started in talking about popes. That was the first episode that we did on the new show.
I don't remember that one. It's fine.
It's fine. It's good. But then we talked about things like fast, obviously. And we had episode 100 shortly after we started the new show. So,
yes.
So that was nice. We got to do that on the new website. But the thing about it is...
we were bi-weekly then.
we were bi-weekly.
Weren't we?
No, we were still doing it week to week.
Oh,
We were still doing it week to week. There was a point though that we were doing 2 a week. But that was kind of out of necessity. We had so many interviews, and they were all kind of time sensitive. So there was like 3 or 4 weeks where we were actually doing a couple episodes a week, just to make sure that we could get everybody in there in a timely fashion. But it was only because of that.
Yeah.
We wanted to make sure we could get everybody in. So yeah, if you were to go back, you would see that there were a few weeks, I think in 2018 actually, where that was happening. But it was not typical. We would be like, okay, here's another episode for the week. Don't get used to this. This is not going to be an all-time thing. And we just, we had gotten so many interviews at that point. I think there was at one point that we were doing, 2 or 3 interviews a week?
Yeah, we were doing quite a bit. You weren't working at that time, so our schedule
right.
was a lot more open.
My schedule was definitely more open. It was during that time where I was like, I had left my job because we were gonna do Rift Hunters, and that looked like it was gonna be much more of a time issue for me, for what I would have to do, because at that point I was pretty much gonna run the thing.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, that has a lot of potential, but then we stopped doing that. So then I was like, oh, boy, now I have some time on my hands. I guess I can work on some other things. And so we were able to just set up interviews whenever we wanted. Pretty much, as long as you were available, I knew I was going to be available. So that's always helpful.
A little bit harder now.
It's a little bit harder now because I work during days and you work during nights, so that's a little bit tricky. But it gave me a lot of opportunity during that time too, because I got to play in my first D&D game. I got to do some streams. I got to do a lot of really neat stuff. But that was all during the time that we were doing Delvecast. And the real reason why we did Delvecast in the first place was pretty much out of necessity. We knew that we were going to be doing the show. We were going to keep doing the show. People had asked us to keep doing it. And we just didn't have a home, so we just had to create a home quickly. and that's what we came up with. And so it's a little sad to see it go, but one of the reasons, because we do get asked this question occasionally, is well, why are you doing the Total Pebble Knockdown now instead of just continuing to do the Delve? And it's kind of because of that reason. When we started Delvecast, it was out of necessity to keep the show going, and we kind of had to create it on the fly and just keep doing what we were doing.
Yeah.
And
maybe we didn't have to.
We didn't have to, but it was like what we were used to doing.
Yeah.
And so we kept doing it.
Yeah.
And it wasn't a bad format or anything. Like, it was fine.
Yeah, it was fun. I mean, we did get burned out a bit on some of it at the end of it.
Yeah.
By the end of it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Probably about a year before the end of it. Kind of.
Yeah, a little bit. But that's kind of why we decided on this format. Like, we've been working on TPK since
beginning of the year.
Yeah, since January, February.
Mm-hmm.
Where we just kind of wanted to make sure we had a format that we liked, that was doable, sustainable, and more fun for us to do.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of things for podcasts are like, yeah, niche down. It's like really pile drive into that one niche you want to talk about and do a show about. But
yeah,
we did the opposite, because instead of our show before was super niche, it was like, we're going to talk about game design mechanics.
Yes.
Which is fine. We still like to do that.
Oh, yeah.
But we wanted to also be able to talk about more stuff and not be so off-brand.
Right. And what you might have found, too, if you had listened to Delve, is that we had gotten to a pattern where, you'd have the subject, and then we'd end up going on the random tangent thing, which,
Yeah.
you know, we still do, but at least it's a little bit more organized because it's in sections. So we can organize the chaos a little bit better. But we just really wanted to have the ability to actually build something that we had time to build from the ground up and design the way we wanted to, which is just something that we never had the real ability to do when we started the website. It was just not in the cards. We were able to do a little bit of different graphic design and change some formats around a little bit, but we never really had the opportunity to just like stop, relook at what we wanted to do, and do a revamp. And I think by the time we realized what we wanted to do for a revamp, we were like, I think we just gotta create a whole new show and start from scratch.
And look at what we've done.
We have, and let's face it, TPK does look and sound a whole lot better than Delve did. Not gonna lie.
Yeah. Now we just need to get the audience.
Yeah, we need to get the audience back, but that's a growing process. It is growing slowly, but it is growing. And as we find footing as well, and people find us, that's also useful as well. Doing the segments is good. It keeps us a little bit fresher. We did get very long-winded toward the end of Delve as well. If you remember the hour-plus episodes.
We still have hour-plus episodes.
Yeah, but it's several segments inside the episode.
Yeah, it's a little bit easier to listen to now.
It's a little bit easier. You have a little more bite-sized chunks that you get to do, and it's not just the meandering part of it as much.
Yeah, and I mean, we do want to get back to having some guests on occasionally as well.
Yes.
I think we're still ironing out how we want to do that specifically. I think one thing we would like to do is definitely like interviews like we've done before. As their own kind of features.
Yes.
And the other thing I really want to do is have guest hosts on.
Yeah, that's what I've been thinking about as well. Actually do a regular episode of the show, but have a third person included in that show.
Yes. So, like our show with the segments, we could be like, all right, we're going to talk about these 3 topics.
Yep.
And it's 3 of us. Which may end up going a bit longer on guest shows.
Oh, yeah.
But that's fine.
That's fine.
But I think it'd be fun, because then it's like, all right, we can do an interview with you about whatever game you're working on or something like that. That's fine. But we also like the idea of having someone on to have a chat and a conversation with about topics that either they suggest or that we have that we want to talk about.
Yeah.
Obviously, we have a couple other features that we're wanting to do, as well as individual like segments or specials.
Sure.
Those are not priority at the moment, so.
Right. So, again, that is still a process that we're ironing out. That's how you actually apparently say it. Ironing it out.
Ironing
it out. But we had a lot more time to try and brainstorm that beforehand. And considering it wasn't just the Delve part of it, but when we were doing Delve, we were also talking about all of these other kinds of side projects we wanted to do. Lots
of them.
All these other side projects. And what we realized is that inside of TPK, the segments can kind of end up being a lot of the side projects too.
Yeah.
At some point. So that if we ever want to do Power Outage or Bear Tank or any of those, we could actually do them as segments or do them as features, and encompass them all in the same kind of more variety show, conversational style gaming podcast that we're doing right now. I had actually, like, while we were still doing Delve, Digressions and Dragons had started and ended, which was, Angry GM and Fiddleback doing that. And I listened to those, and I thought to myself, this is actually kind of great. Like, I kind of like the idea of being able to just have 2 people sit down, have a conversation that revolves around games, and not necessarily have it so structured, but have many different topics in an episode. And this is a little closer to that, although probably a little more organized, just because we were like, well, we kind of want different topics and segments and styles for different things, you know. So there is that. However, there is one thing that we are I am going to miss more than anything with the end of Delve, and I think everybody knows what it is.
Is it the Flare Riff?
I do love the Flare Riff, and thank you, Matt Soul, for the Flare Riff, by the way. Want to get that in. But, no. It's the spam comments.
Oh.
Everybody knows.
Yeah.
It's the spam folder. And Alex, I thought there's no better way to send Delve off than to read a few that have just come in the day we're recording this.
Oh, boy.
Now, I'm going to throw one in chat for you that I saw, that I was like, I think that this is probably more up your alley. But as you can see, we are still getting many comments revolving around vape shops. Some now that are incredibly long-winded. So thank you so much for telling us about being nominated UK's top health and wellness store. And this was on apparently the 10 Candles episode we did.
Perfect. Makes sense.
Yep. So there's that. I'm hoping. But there were a couple others I thought that I would read, because I don't want to read the giant vape shop ones. But here's just a couple. The last ones. Okay. From this is from Beauty Fashion, by the way.
Perfect.
For Dr. McFly's Fantastic Beasts and How to Avoid Them. That was the blog I still keep, but excellent beat. I wish to apprentice you while you amend your website. How can I subscribe for a blog website? The account helped me a acceptable deal. I had been tiny bit acquainted of this, your broadcast, provided bright, clear concept. Well, clear concepts seem to elude you, but that's okay. So there is that. A lot of them are pretty much as well written as that. They are still asking me how to make blogs. That's great. But this one, I had to end on this one. Because this is just too good, Alex. The username is in a foreign script, so I don't know what it is.
Oh, good.
Different characters. But it was put onto episode 174, Plane Crafters. Of course, like your website, but you have to take a look at the spelling on several of your posts. A number of them are rife with spelling issues, and I am finding it very bothersome, to tell the truth. On the other hand, definitely come back again. Okay.
Thanks for that.
We'll totally get on the spelling issues. You might want to as well.
You know what? No, they have a point. And the point is, there are too many spelling issues on this website and in the comments, and we're just gonna have to shut the whole thing down.
Yep, we gotta shut the whole thing down. It's gone. Because, you know what? I had an umlaut out of place, and that shall not stand. We will have to shut the whole thing down. We'll start from scratch. It's fine.
Shut it down.
We'll shut down. We'll start from scratch. In the meantime...
But will we open up a new shop?
As long as it's in a dungeon.
Because that's how the Rough Riders roll.
Can I have a ham sandwich?
No.
It will cure my rickets and my HP. Okay, fine. Delvecast.com, we salute you. You have a good one.
We pour one out for the homies.
we pour one out for the 300 homies that we lost. It was a good run, but every race has to come to an end.
Eventually.
Eventually, apparently in about 5 years. That's how long it took.
So that's a long marathon.
It's a long marathon. If you've been running a marathon for 5 years, ask somebody if the marathon is actually still ongoing. Because ask
your doctor if marathons are right for you.
Yeah,